Yeah, I know, that's kind of why I got the call.
Your guys, one of these days, they got the
I
Josh.
think I still across the subject.
Is that his rotation? About some of them, I don't know if you're put them in, spacer kids who went in front, to raise the front leg level, go back up 2 inches. Cause they can do it right now.
Yeah.
Probably your mother.
My mom did those.
Oh, really? Did she sign them?
Look and see.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good.
Oh, no, I'm not, no.
I feel better. You must be really bored.
That made my phone sleep. No, actually, I did a pretty good today. 10 minutes for the story. Oh my gosh, what a day. What's that?
Fun day?
That's incredible.
My brother was on at 4:30.
Can I guess? Good one. You're the body. You're the body.
You know, I'm supposed to be the one for now.
Oh, no. You should have them start picking you off.
Yeah, you can drive right by my house.
Exactly. You can stop a little early.
He makes it completely, but I won't. I want copies of these. It's really easy, just make a 4-year-old one. I don't want to shop.
That's not quite so easy.
I'll get right down what you want. You know, I can't think right now. So he comes there, I said, what do you want? So I go through the thing, I'm like, this one's a grant. Yeah, I want that. So I write down the number. So he's in my office. And he's like, I say, yeah. Nope, I don't want that one.
They were hammering. They were.
Are you sleeping? You don't hear me yet, Lyle.
When you put in there, he did not.
Are you sleeping?
I'm
talking to you.
What he said for it?
Y'all ready to go?
Yeah, how do you know you want it? Oh, my
You got somebody coming in this weekend, Bill. You said you got somebody coming in.
Charge for damaging your own property. Just like you just want to walk up and kick your front door. You can do that.
I can show you how to do that.
Oh, my God. This is amusing, yeah.
Because it was difficult, I had to copy and paste
Hey,
it into
I'm not ready for just to change the date.
Are you saying that's the same as last one?
Didn't say a word.
He didn't say that. The date's different.
If you can show me where the numbers are the same, I'll try to.
Then he'll change it a little more.
Yeah. No, I actually go to it. You want some? Here's some more stuff.
Yeah, I got numbers.
Your house was looking good there.
Slowly.
The one we were looking there for weeks ago.
I got out there a couple of times. Some of the little areas are moving.
For real? Good to see you, see you. Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen her put the paintbrush yet.
Meetings where they hire people to do films.
Yeah.
Call the meeting to order, but I would like to take a minute to have a moment of silence for one of our past council persons, Denise Batterby. Rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
Here,
Here.
Here. Alex absent. Yes, here. Motion to approve the agenda.
I'd like to make a couple of changes to the amendments to the agenda. One, in action items D, to add brush pickup for the first week of November, the 2nd through the 6th. And then I'd like to change action items B and C around.
B.
And just do the C first and then B.
Any other additions, corrections? Need a motion to approve the revised agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. I'll support.
Supported. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Approval of the minutes, September 9th meeting. Need a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Moved and supported. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Public comment?
I do, Ed. This will seem a little weird because this was to be addressed toward Melissa for some comments she made, and just kind of like the council's opinion on it. And she's asking the community a question. She's asking it as the Central Lake Village trustee, so it involves all of you. She's asking, would you like to see the village have a part-time clerk and part-time treasurer as in years past? Now, I was involved in creating that position along with other council members, and a lot of time and thought was put into it, along with hours of financial questions and answers, and it was decided that it was an important step forward to the village and one that could be financially sustained with no increase in taxes. So I'm wondering if Melissa's asking that as a personal question or if it's a matter of the council. So I'd like to know if there are others on the council who feel this is something the council should be pursuing. And I ask that because the question wasn't posed to the community from an individual, but from Melissa as a Central Lake Village Council trustee, and that involves all of you. There's always enough happening within the village. It would be nice to see the council move forward and not keep rehashing issues within the community, and especially if the issue has no basis is coming from the council. I think it's important to remember that when one of you speaks as a representative of the council, you need to be sure that it's the council you're speaking for. While you all have your personal opinions have no place on the council. So I'm just asking that you discuss this as a council and bring clarity to it, because no one should have to keep having the importance of their job questioned by their employer, and you, the council, are that employer.
Where did she ask this?
She asked it on a social media site, and it's been asked numerous times before, and I honestly thought the council had stopped it. So, I mean, if you have, I just wish as a council you'd say it's not council business. And if it is council business, then deal with it. Thank you.
This is the first time I've heard of it.
Okay, I'm sure it is. So
I
I'm
haven't heard of it either.
bringing to your attention.
So that's coming from her personally.
Okay. Thank you.
So maybe in the future, she should write council person at the end of her Facebook post or whatever social media site it was on?
She does it on the site as Central Lake Village trustee. That's what I thought, or something that, as a council,
She signed it as trustee?
the whole site is as Central Lake Village trustee. It's not a personal site, in my opinion, but it just reflects on all of you.
Okay, that's the first I've heard of it. as well as the site, so. We'll just move on, as far as I'm concerned. If she wants to bring it up to me, to bring it up to the board, we can do that. That's her prerogative. Any other public comment? Reports, Scott?
Yes, sir, thank you. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at the September report. Pretty average month, other than 2 of the weeks I was kind of back and forth for 3 days one week and 4 days the next week for school and Grayling. And that'll reflect down on the second part down at the bottom there, the Evidence Tech School and Grayling. Other than that, assisted a lot of community events, one being Delmat. The other one was the first annual Pad Lantern, which was a really big success, I thought, from my perspective. It was really well attended. Not many problems, but there were a lot of people I thought came through the village and got to see what we have to offer. Other school events, attended those and helped out with those. Any questions?
How are we doing on the nuisance violation stuff? Is that still moving quickly and nicely, or?
You know what, kind of in a big scheme of things, I mean, I get some people that complain, and I know you guys are aware of that, because I'm sure it gets trickled to you guys. Unfortunately, we had one person throughout the summer that was working 8 hours a week to do that, and unfortunately, when he'd come to work one week, he'd have 8 or 9 more complaints, and so he's not only handling current complaints, but he's handling new complaints all the time. So we kept, I think, on top of most of it. We'll never solve all the nuisance problems because one person cannot do that. 5 people cannot do all that. It seems like it's a problem that we just try to hit the biggest problems, we do the biggest bang we can for our buck. So I think we made a lot of progress when we put out the original blanket letters that went out to 90 plus people. Some people got really mad because they got them, but yet they didn't understand the whole perspective, that they took it personal, and I tried to explain to them, you along with 80 plus other people got those letters. Some of them were really quick about getting them taken care of, some people wanted to voice the concerns, some people were adamant they weren't going to fix it, so we got kind of a big range of stuff. And then we've kind of been battling that all summer long. Obviously some people took care of the problems themselves, some of them we had to keep reminding them, some of them we almost had to go to the report process with Brian citations, which involves a lot of paperwork. So one complaint became a lot more paperwork. And then other people would, once they got a complaint against them, they would complain about the 6 neighbors around them, so one complaint would turn into 6 complaints. So, but overall, I think we did a good job because, number one, it didn't cost anything more, and we kind of talked about the difference between enforcing the ordinances versus a village cleanup, and I know there's some controversy there, but for what didn't cost the village any more this summer, I think we made a huge impact on getting town cleaned up. We'll never get it 100% cleaned up because it's impossible to do that. But like I said, now Bill's going to talk about it later, but Bob is basically leaving and kind of just doing our firearm stuff once in a while. So or you don't mind if I mention it now? Sure. Okay. Bill and I had talked, and there's a bunch of different things that we can do with Bob's position, whether we want to do it with a non-certified position or a certified police officer position. And I think it's important that the law enforcement committee meets sometime between now and next meeting. We'll come back to you guys with a recommendation and let you guys make a decision. I mean, obviously we have money in our budget for a part-time position or some hours. Now, if we fill that with a non-certified position, it works great for the ordinance issues, but it doesn't work great for filling in for me and doing some other things like handling complaints and stuff like that. But if we put it with a non-certified position, right now ordinances are kind of tapering down because most of them are summer, spring type of fall things. In the wintertime, we don't have much problem with ordinance issues. So are we going to fill a position now that really is not important? But in the summertime, we could use that person plus 3 other people, really. So I'm going to talk to the law enforcement committee about what our options are and stuff like that. And I think we'll be able to come back with a recommendation or some ideas for you guys to make a decision. But right now, we kind of, the last month, Bob left kind of unofficially about a month ago, so we've been just kind of, cleaning up things, and hopefully most people will take care of some of it themselves. So. But it's kind of and it's a hot topic, so considering the fact, like I said, it didn't cost anything more for us to do that other than what we already had budgeted. I think we made a pretty good impact, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you have anything else? Sam?
Everybody should have a copy of DPW operations. Outside of a typical month for us, water samples were number one. Because we're taking in a bunch of them right now. We're in the process of testing out of a MCL violation for the bacteria. And number 13, the sidewalk on Howard Street has been put in. Do you want to talk about the MC violation now, or do you want to do it in Rod's report?
We'll wait for Rob.
Okay, we'll go that route. Any questions?
Thank you. Lyle?
Well, this past month, I've been mowing grass, cleaned all the fire pits, replaced 3 marker posts that one had been broke off, a couple of them had been pulled out of the ground, I reset them. I raked and reseeded 4 sites down there. I stored all but 6 of the picnic tables on the lower part of the campground. I got all but 4 of the other ones pushed over into the trees there where we stacked them there. Picking up leaves, and I changed blades and one.
Anything else for Lyle? Thank you. Correspondence, I only have one document here from the MML, Michigan Municipal League Liability and Property Pool, asking for our support for 2 appointees to their board. Robert Clark, Mayor of City of Monroe, Paula Zelenko, Mayor of City of Burton. If nobody has any objections, I'll sign and send back. I'll take that as a yes, thank you. That's it for correspondence. Committee reports, Rob, street sidewalk.
Nothing on lights, nothing on the streets, sidewalk, like Sam alluded to, they finished the Howard Street sidewalk, 625 feet. After it was all said and done, it came out to $3.06 a square foot. This gives us good baseline data in the future, so if we have any other sidewalks we want to have done, we can have it put out to bid to see if they come in higher or lower, and we can move from there. But this gives us good jumping off data, so that way it's a good comparison. I talked to Gordy Frazier, they were here, and I asked them about that, and they said it comes out for them about, they have it at $5 per square foot. So
Does the 306 include labor?
that includes everything out the door. Yep. So that's that. They're in the process of replacing the red ribbon of crushed concrete around the downtown area. As I talked about 2 meetings ago, it's prematurely aged and it's crumbling. So they did dig it up. Lo and behold, the last portion of it closest to the earth is just crumbling. Again, poor concrete, that's about the bottom line. So they report it. I did contact Kelly Young from the Village Market and tell her that their trucks couldn't park there for a week. She's aware of it. I talked to Tracy. Tracy Zalapski from Touch of Class. She's aware of it, that she's losing parking across the street as well. So everybody in the vicinity is aware of the fact that why we're losing those parking spots up until Saturday. Saturday will be the day when we can walk on it and the trucks can drive over it in the delivery area. We're going to have to keep replacing that because Greg Bloom was kind enough to walk around with Sam and go through and start looking at other spots where this problem is occurring. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. Hopefully that was just a bad batch, but who knows. And that's it on sidewalks.
That $3.05 a foot that you were talking about, square foot, $4, where does that put us in the projection that we had a year ago? Is that
Actually,
still in or better than?
good question, thank you. Originally, we had budgeted our last February meeting at $14,000. Sam had said that there's no way we could do $14,000 in the sidewalk, so it was lowered to $10,000. We came in under at 96 $9,573. So we're actually under budget, so.
A little background on the red ribbon. The council at the time chose to do that rather than the state wanting us to put in bricks. And the cost difference was substantial. We were trying to save money there. Looks like it's gonna cost us a little more in the long run, but that we didn't know either at the time.
Well, that goes back to with the sidewalks. If you get an outside contractor, you don't know what they're doing, how they're doing it, whereas at $3.04 a square foot, which we're getting out of the DPW, we can point at Greg Bloom, because he wants it to look good, because he lives up the road. You know, everyone working has a vested interest instead of some outfit far away. So that way, we know we're gonna get quality work, and that's been my contention all along.
Sewer water out.
Sam mentioned, we sent in a test and it came back, what he described as MCL, it's the maximum containment level. At the time, the DE records show that one routine sample and one of 4 repeat samples collected were total coliform positive during the monitoring period between September 1st and September 30th. At the time, and Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, the last test we sent in, or if you want to mention the last test.
Can I jump in here real quick before I make it easy on you? In August of 2015, DEQ sends us a water monitoring schedule. We have to abide by that schedule. They tell us what months we can take what samples, so on and so forth. We have a routine monitoring that we do every month, which is our garage. The month of August, we went down, we drew our routine bacteriological sample. We sent it into Charlevoix Water Treatment Plant, and it come back a positive. At that point, when we hit a positive on that one routine sample per month, we have what they call a site sampling plan. At that point, we have to go upstream, downstream of the hot test, plus the hot test, plus 2 other, which are on a site sampling plan. The month of August, then 5 come back good. Keep in mind, August is our hottest month. September rolled around. We waited later in the month. We took our routine Bacti sample. That come back hot again with a positive hit. So when that triggered a positive hit, what we had to do is go back to that site sampling plan that I told you about where that hot hit was at. 1 upstream, 1 downstream, the bad one, the well house, and 1 other one. Which we went ahead and did them 5. Well, lo and behold, 1 of the 5 come back hot. When that happened, that triggers what they call an MCL, maximum contaminant level, because I had 2 of them within that month. So now that throws out a whole nother set of circumstances with water testing. So we went ahead and we went ahead and put our chlorine pumps in at the well houses. We went ahead and started flushing so we could get a free and a total, chime in anytime, Rob Tyler, you know all about this. So we got a free and a total chlorine residual in our system. So now I'm to like the 26th or 27th of September. I have to get 5 clean samples for that month of September. Since we started putting chlorine and we flushed, we got that residual, we went ahead and took our 5 samples and they all come back good. I'm not out of the violation because 5 come back good. Now the month of October rolls around and we have to take 10 to get out of the violation. You have to do the 5 that was on your site sampling plan and what they call 5 randoms. The 5 randoms can be anywhere, they can be the exact same one. So at this point, we're still putting chlorine in because to date, I got 8 clean samples for the month of October. So I still got to get 2 more before the end of the month to get tested out of this MCL violation. Why did we get the MCL violation? Hot weather, water in the storage tank sat a little bit longer, got warmer. Coliform forms quicker in warm water than cold water. We got a biology teacher here that can really explain this. He can explain it a whole lot better than I can. We have old pipes that have rust in them, that that's adhered to the inside of the pipes. That can trigger it. And if you're not putting chlorine in, I mean, we could get a violation every month if we don't put chlorine in. Chlorine goes out, it's a disinfectant, attaches onto that coliform, kills it. So when we take that sample in, that sample comes back good.
I don't have anything else to add, I think you could, there's nothing else to add.
The council needs to make a decision of, quite a while ago, we got a lot of complaints about the chlorine. Chlorine has benefits, chlorine has the cons. One of the cons is odor, color, especially with an old water system. You know, that discolored water complaints were huge at one time. They disappeared we quit putting.
How long were we out of the chlorine?
Pardon?
How long have we not been in doing the chlorine?
We've always put chlorine in at the number 5 well. The number 5 well has iron, so we put phosphate in to sequester the iron. So you flush it out in your faucet. The phosphate is contaminant, so the chlorine automatically goes into the Bunker Hill well to kill that phosphate that we put in. It's kind of a goofy situation where you put in to kill one and put the other one in to kill the one you put in. But the softball field, water's hard, but it doesn't have iron. It has a lot of iron in it for the hardness. So, and that's our main well that we've been running on that we haven't been putting chlorine in. The only time 5 comes on is when 2A won't keep up with the highly daily demand or fire situation. Water main breaks. So when we got this MCL I was telling you about, we went ahead and automatically put the chlorine pumps in because it's actually a security on our part because it kills that backbeat. And that's why 2 days later, which we put them in on I think we put it in on Wednesday, the pumps, Wednesday night. Thursday we drew the 5 and one of the 4 failed. But by Saturday, every sample, the 5 additional samples in that month passed because we had enough residual throughout the system. So, and at this point, you guys have to make a decision, or the community needs to make a decision if they want to keep putting chlorine in. If we do, chances of an MCL are very slim. If we take it back out, I've been with the village, I've been in charge 14 or 15 years, and that's only the third Bacti sample we've had come back positive. And I think it may be due to the aging infrastructure, the very hot weather of August and September. I wish I knew what happened. So one of the other things we did was we got thinking that we have an old laundry tub faucet out in our wash rack. We got wondering if we weren't getting a back siphon out of that from the hot water, coming all the way back up into where we have this test set up for our water sample. So we eliminated that one. We went back to where the main comes into the floor of the building and put a brand new sample tap in there. Is it going to cure it? I wish I could answer it, because I'd feel a whole lot better. Chlorine runs about $200 a month in the water system. If we put it in, we did the math today and figured it out. We're about 5 gallons per week. 5 gallons is roughly $60. But we can get back to dirty water complaints if we use it. I wish I knew what to say.
So what happens now, you said we have 8 good tests, we need 2 more, right?
Yes, sir.
So hypothetically, let's say those come back good.
Yep.
What happens in the month of November? Do we have to do 10
I go back to
more?
5 samples.
You
I
go back-
go to 5 in November, 4, 3, 2, 1 per month until I test myself 100% out of it. Which puts me all the way back into March.
So March, we'd be down to 1 sample that we have to go
A
out.
routine monthly sample. Yep.
After March.
Are you suggesting we should keep chlorine in it until March to clear ourselves and then?
Well, I would most definitely make that recommendation until we test ourselves out, because if we hit another hot test, the DEQ's now going to be happy. We know that, because then they're going to start coming back to us and going, okay, now what else do we have going on within the village? The chemistry of our water hasn't changed. We tell that by, and just in case anybody wanted to know how many, that is 2015 so far of just water samples that we have taken. There's 2 pages of what the DEQ mandates, and they tell me when I can take my water samples. And when I take them out of what well, distribution, however we take them. And Rod, and you, everybody seen I put a public notice out. We've hung it in public places. The reason being is that MCL violation for them two back-to-back. State mandates in the Safe Drinking Water Act that we notify our water customers. And as Rod was saying to you, it says right in there that nobody's at risk, nobody needs to boil their water's fine. It was when you hit that hot sample, it's supposed to be a signal to you to say, is there something going on in my system? And that when we did exactly what we were supposed to do per DEQ standards at that point. I spent last Friday, I think it was last Friday, in the district Cadillac office to make sure they knew exactly what happened because I took all the paperwork with me. Now he's coming up tomorrow from 1 to 3:30 to go back over everything with me. But by law, I had to post that violation.
And I can read it if anybody gets.
Well, I think it would probably help if you did, because it tells you the do's and the don'ts and. Any questions for me on that?
Would our old lines have anything to do with that?
Could,
Because some of these lines are pretty old.
could.
Sam, when they send you back the report with the MCL violation, they don't give you like a high standard and a low standard? Then a part
What
per
they,
million,
at one time, Rob, you're better at explaining it. At one time, they used to do what they call a plate test, Rob.
Petri dish.
There you go, Petri dish, and they used to count the coliform bacteria. You had to be below a certain number. It's no longer that. It's either positive or it's negative now. The
And that's
Petri
what
dish,
Sam and I were discussing was,
So in,
we don't know, it used to be, you'd come back, your plate was hot, you got a contaminant somewhere. Now it's either all or nothing. They don't give you a threshold number. You had 12 colonies, per milliliters of water, or 8. So we don't even know where we're at. What's the trigger point of a violation, what is not?
Right.
I couldn't even find what that number is going to the DEQ's website. There's no threshold. It used to be 8 colonies per milliliter of water. I believe it was 8, I should say. I don't know. And now I can't even find out what it is anymore. So I don't know, we don't know how bad it was. And it's only coliforms.
right, keep in
Let's
mind,
be
that's all
very
it is.
cognizant of that.
E. coli is not there. It's only coliform. We all have coliform in us.
Or honest.
Honest. There's coliform anywhere you go. And water has it naturally in it, to a point.
No, I only asked this because I got a call today to ask it in the meeting, if there was a good or bad or a threshold on that, and what our notification process is, after seeing the notice and talking with Rod, and Rod.
Yeah, it's positive or negative now, that's all it is. It's like you take a bottle of water in, they snap a
Parts per
bottle,
million,
incubate it.
parts per million, just like you would with carbon dioxide and everything else, you know.
In the chlorine we're putting in, just so you guys know, we're trying to put in between right now we're putting in between 0.8 parts and 1 part per million. And what we're getting out there is we're getting a free of, what'd they tell you, Rob? 0.10 and a total of 0.18. So that means we got 0.08 still available in case something was to come into the system.
Oh, you mean total total
Total
chlorine?
free, free and total chlorines. So there is some still residual out there. The water's not absorbing all of the chlorine that's going in it.